Hi, I am Revathi. I am working as an assistant professor in SNS College of Engineering. Today we will discuss the topic about types of mapping in ARP. Address Resolution Protocol. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. ARP is the most important protocol of the data link layer. ARP is a network layer protocol used to convert IP address into MAC address. Types of mapping in ARP. Static mapping, dynamic mapping. Static mapping means a table consists of a logical address and corresponding physical address of the destination device. In this, the IP and MAC address of the device is entered manually in the ARP table. Dynamic mapping. If a device knows the logical address of the other device, then by using the ARP, this device will also find the physical address of the device. The dynamic entries are created automatically when the source device sends an ARP broadcast. These entries are not permanent and cleared periodically. ARP types: proxy ARP, gracious ARP, reverse ARP, inverse ARP. A proxy ARP is an ARP that acts on behalf of a set of hosts. Whenever a router running a proxy ARP, it receives an ARP request looking for the IP address of one of these hosts. The router sends an ARP reply announcing its own hardware address. After the router receives the actual IP packet, it sends the packet to the appropriate host or router. For example, the ARP installed on the right-hand host will answer only to an ARP request with a target IP address of 141.23.56.23. However, the administrator may need to create a subnet without changing the whole system to recognize the subnetted address. One solution is to add a router running a proxy ARP. In this case, the router acts on behalf of all the hosts installed on the subnet. When it receives an ARP request with a target IP address that matches the address of one of the hosts is 141.23.56.21, 141.23.56.22, 141.23.56.23. It sends an ARP reply and announces its hardware address as the target hardware address. When the router receives the IP packet, it sends the packet to the appropriate host. Gracious ARP. Proxy ARP is a method through which a layer 3 devices may respond to ARP request for a target that it is in a different network from the sender. The proxy ARP configured router responds to the ARP and map the MAC address of the router with the target IP address and fool the sender that it is reached at its destination. At the back end, the proxy router sends its packet to the appropriate destination because the packets contain the necessary information. Primary use cases of Gracious ARP. The Gracious ARP is used to update the ARP table of other devices. It also checks whether the host is using the original IP address or a duplicate one. Reverse ARP. It is a networking protocol used by the client system in a local area network to request its IP version 4 address from the ARP gateway router table. A table is created by the network administrator in the gateway router that is used to find the MAC address to the corresponding IP address. Mapping physical address to logical address. There are occasions in which a host knows its physical address but needs to know its logical address. This may happen in two cases. Case 1. A diskless station is just booted. The station can find its physical address by checking its interface, but it does not know its IP address. Case 2. An organization does not have enough IP address to assign to each station. It needs to assign IP address on demand. The station can send its physical address and ask for a short time lease. RARP, Reverse Address Resolution Protocol, find the logical address for a machine that knows only its physical address. To create an IP datagram, a host or router needs to know its own IP address. The IP address of a machine is usually read from its configuration file stored on disk file. However, a diskless machine is usually booted from ROM, which has minimum booting information. The ROM is installed by the manufacturer. It cannot include the IP address because the IP address on the network assigned by the network administrator. The machine can get its physical address, which is unique locally. It can then use the physical address to get the logical address by using the RARP protocol. A RARP request is created and broadcasted on the local area network. Another machine on the local network that knows all the IP address will respond with a RARP reply. The requesting machine must be running a RARP client program. The responding machine must be running a RARP server program. Inverse ARP. Inverse ARP is a inverse of the ARP, and it is used to find the IP address of the nodes from the data link layer addresses. These are mainly used for the frame relays and ATM networks, where layer 2 virtual circuit addressing are often required from layer 2 signaling. When using these virtual circuits, the relevant layer 3 addresses are available. Thank you.